session, which is mainly challenges in adolescent age group. Here, mainly, I would like to stress upon the ethical and basically the ethical counseling related challenges. So I will move on to the session. In the recent years, childhood, adolescent, and young adult oncology has become a national and international focus. And these cohort of patients have special needs at the time of diagnosis, treatment, and with the improvement in the survival about the survivorship. And we have a detailed clinical discussion about the pediatric malignancies in our panel. So I will not go into details, but the different cancers will have low, medium to high risk of the infertility in this specific age groups. And we know the concerns in the survivors are with respect to the cancer recurrence, infertility, both in male and female, with mostly the psychosocial impacts, pregnancy implications, and risk of the cancer transmission to the offsprings. So when we are dealing with these patients counseling, we have to touch upon all these factors because these are the major concerns. And at the same time, the reassuring fact is research till date does not support an excess risk of the congenital malformation, genetic disorders, or chromosomal syndromes in the offspring born to the childhood cancer survivors. I think that was one of the questions in the chat box. So there is no significant, statistical significant risk in the congenital anomalies in when the pregnancies in the cancer survivors are seen. Now, especially in the pediatric cancers, these are the factors to be considered while we are dealing during fertility preservation is child's age and maturity level, family's health literacy, socio-economic class, cultural or religious background, as well as the financial arrangements. And here the social workers, child life therapists, and psychologists can be utilized to provide reproductive information to the children, because this is the major challenge, to tell them first, teach them the reproductive biology, and then in their developmentally appropriate terms, and then tell them about the options to conserve the future fertility. So what are the challenges we face in these especially age group with respect to the counseling is cancer diagnosis is overwhelming, stressful, and life altering time for these cancer patients, young cancer patients, and for their families. And this is already a devastating situation in their early careers, college plans, or childhood playtime. And at the same time, they are totally unaware about this cancer impact or its treatment impact on the future fertility. So it's a very, very complex discussion as the focus is mainly on the survival. And definitely because of the age challenges, we definitely need a different visual aids, that is videos, different terminologies to explain them about the reproductive biology first. And also here, the role of genetic counselor is very important because it should be offered to the all young cancer survivors, where pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, that is PGD, that is the process which is done on the embryo. So embryo biopsy is done before the implantation to check for the single gene mutations associated with the cancer risks. So this is also very, very important in the young cancer survivors. Now there are challenges with respect to the patients while making the fertility preservation decisions. So what are those? They have got the multiple sources of information from the doctors, from the families, from the society. And it's a very emotional time for them. There is already the existential crisis about themselves, their survival, and their future. And it is a tight time frame to make the decision, because these cancers, especially in the young age group or childhood, they are rapidly growing. We have less time, and accordingly we have to choose a method. Very importantly, the challenge is to understand the reproductive function and to understand the future fertility desire. At the same time, issues to the geographic access to the care. So even if we provide the option, there has to be a good referral pathways as Dr. Mandeep has mentioned, that has to be so smooth. There should not be that has to be very smooth for these patients to make them easy accessibility to these kind of centers, and at the same time the financial constraints. So for that matter, as I have mentioned in my first slide, that role of coordinator or navigator is very, very important to deal upon these points. So the coordinator or navigator will be reliable, sensitive, and that person will respond rapidly and address these challenges basically. So there are certain guidelines for the counseling of the families, because in the young adults or this adolescents, pediatric age group, families are involved in this counseling. So importantly, we have to set the environment to allow the private discussion. We have to lead a discussion as a clinician, as a counselors. We should not assume that patient or family has already a knowledge about the reproductive biology. We have to start from the beginning. We have to give time to process the information, to formulate the question. So we have to provide them adequate information, probably in a different sources, videos, written information, and we have to give them a time to communicate back. We should not allow the parent to speak for the child. We have to make child also understand about the process. We should not assume that patient silence means lack of interest in the topic. And very, very importantly, SDM tools, that is shared decision making tools, have to be applied. Also, other challenges that have been very well described in both the lectures about females and males, that prepubertal patients only have experimental fertility preservation options which are available to them, where the institutional review board approval is required. So only few centers can undertake this. Children and adolescents may lack the capacity to envision the future in which they want the children, but in adulthood regret a decision not to pursue a fertility preservation when offered. And there are ethical concerns regarding the parents making generational choices for their children. So basic ethical requirements are, of course, informed consent. We have got the detailed discussion about this, what should be mentioned in the consent. So in this age group, especially informed consent from the parents is important, addressing all the issues that we have already discussed. And very, very importantly, something called as assent of child, means where the child is old enough, child should be given and developmentally appropriate explanation of the procedure that will be done, and its purpose of this procedure will be explained to the child, and ideally child should be in agreement with the procedure, and that is documented, and that is something called as assent of the child. So at the same time of the parents' consent, this assent is equally important. So we really have to design these consent forms and assent forms and everything. Now there are certain specific situations where we have to have a clinical ethics review. So these are the special situations where these situations have to be discussed in a team, and the ethical needs behind this procedure has to be well explained. So which are these situations are where the procedure, fertility preservation procedures will delay or interfere with the cancer treatment. Then we need to think the possibilities. The procedure itself is giving a greater than a minimal risk, for example, because of the cancer comorbidities, or procedure has significant risk of not leaving one gonad intact. For example, if the child has only one gonad to begin with, or the risk of loss of fertility due to chemotherapy is low, or the potential of retrieving tissue that might be unseizable in future is lower than usual for any reason, or a child has intellectual disability. So here there are again difficulties to explain the need and the procedures to the children. Child is prepubertal, or the child or young person objects having the fertility preservation procedure, but parents still want to go ahead, or parents are unwilling to inform the child about the procedure when the child is at developmental stage where they would be able to understand at least the basic idea of the procedure, and any treating clinician has an ethical question or concern about the procedure. So these are the special situations which have to be discussed with the team, and that is something called as clinical ethics review. So here, without wasting time, I would like to just stress upon the workflow of the program, because here we know about up till now, till at this level of the workshop, we have understood what are the different strategies what is the need for this, but the practical important thing which we want to stress upon through this workshop is to have the building up a successful program and maintain a very easy referral pathway. We have to create it as a combining, fertility and oncology team. So that is at the end of this workshop our main important intent. So basically important thing here is I would like to stress upon is whenever there is a patient, so we have to have the EMR, as electronic medical recording is important, and recording of these kind of data. So to avoid data gap, we have to record all these data. So which are these patients going for the fertility preservation and for what reasons? If it is they are not choosing it, fine, or it is not, it is contraindicated, we have to enter the ineligibility. If yes, we have to explain them, especially the videos, proper information, written information. Then important is the shared decision making tool, that is very important. And depending upon the age appropriate, after age appropriate explanation, we have to choose the particular method that we have already seen, in which situation which methods would be useful. So here in this, why I have taken this chart is just to make sure that there are certain important decision points where we have to help this patient. So one is whether before a cancer treatment, whether to choose a fertility preservation or not. That is one decision point. Secondly, if their fertility preservation is not being chosen for some reason, what would be the options later? So at the initial counseling itself, we need to tell them the options, parenting options at the same time, whether they choose the fertility preservation or if they don't choose. So later options, if they don't choose, would be donor eggs, donor embryos, donor sperm, or gestational carrier, that is the surrogacy or the adoption, or there can be the chance of natural pregnancy, depending upon the parameters which will be assessed, fertility potentials which will be assessed after the cancer therapy. So we have to give proper information of all these points also. This is very, very important. Then another, like if suppose they choose it, then do we really have the time? Then definitely we go ahead with the different protocols. Depending upon like male partner is there, not there, so oocyte preservation, especially in the females I'm talking about, or embryo, whatever. I'm not going into details because these already have been discussed very well, very in detail. An important decision point is again, if there is no time, then probably using GnRH analogs or transpositions or shielding or ovarian tissue cryopreservation or IVMs. And then what to do about these preservations, whether to transplant or again IVM. These are the important points to be stressed. So I just want to give a stress here is that all these factors, so it should be a complete counseling, whether it is like a fertility preservation options, issues in the reproductive health, as well as the pregnancy options later in their life. So even if we preserve all the tissues, we should discuss all the options about the donor gametes, the surrogacy, the adoption, and the chance of the natural pregnancy, which is very, very important. So again, I would like to stress upon about our mission of this oncofertility program is provide timely and comprehensive fertility risk and preservation consultations, to offer patients to a range of appropriate fertility preservation treatments, serve as a resource to the patient as well as the healthcare providers who are seeking up-to-date fertility preservation information. So it is as a team our responsibility to maintain this data, to present this data in our scenarios, and give the appropriate information even to the healthcare providers. Offer a genetic counseling for genetic cancer risk assessment in the relevant age groups, and offer patients other necessary reproductive health services, including contraceptive, sexual health, and menopause management, because cancer treatments will lead to the POI, that is premature ovarian insufficiency. So we might require hormonal therapies in those kind of patients. So thank you so much.